nervous because I'm here now.
Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell along with my co-host Glenn Martin. And in this episode, we're going to be previewing the Baltimore Ravens, Jacksonville Jaguars matchup. I'm really excited to dig into it. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and take a second to hit the subscribe button. Of course, we're all about Ravens on this channel here. So we're excited to have you. Go ahead and hit that button, stay up to date. But without any further ado, we're going to jump right into it here. We're excited to be at home, Glenn. Looks like a good home cooking game for us. But we're going to start with some health here, and then we'll move into stats. As far as the Ravens go, Jimmy Smith is one that you and I have talked about. He's had some nagging injuries, and it looks like, according to the injury report, now it's not the groin, it's the shoulder and also the ribs.
Yeah.
So the rib one is a big concern because, of course, that could be more long-term than something like a shoulder, which you could brace or something like that. But aside from that, it's really about our secondary this week. You got Marcus Peters has the calf and he's not practicing. Devontae Harris has the ankle and he's not practicing. Good news though, Tramon Williams, the late season pickup, a corner who's the savvy veteran, he's had a thigh issue that left him out of last game and he's back at practice. And then, like you mentioned in the previous show, Terrell Bond is back. He's returned to practice as well. And so those are the big names for me. I mean, of course, there's a couple other names. Calais is a guy that openly mentioned that he's battling a calf injury and he hopes to be better and better every week. But as far as our injuries go, is there one that concerns you more than another?
Well, yeah, the Jimmy one, it was like night and day when he was in there for the first half of the Browns game. And then when he went out, which, I mean, I remember the play when he got hurt, Baker was scrambling to the left using a tight end as a lead blocker, and out of nowhere, Jimmy came flying into the picture to take out the tight end, and that's the play where he hurt himself. But after he went out, it got a little scary for the Ravens secondary, and then when Harris went out, that made a big time trouble. Then Levine was forced to play slot corner, which is something the Ravens do not want to see. That Jimmy is the one that worries me the most.
And the other thing too, and I agree with you there, the other thing too that I guess I kind of omitted to mention was that, of course, as we mentioned previously, and as you guys probably know, we have 3 guys on the COVID list based on close contact. They haven't tested positive at this point, so it's not necessarily a health as much as it is a protocol thing. But of course, that is Marquise Brown, Miles Boykin, and James Prochet. So those are another 3 guys that, at the very least, while they haven't tested positive, are missing practice. So that's a cause for concern as well. As far as the Jaguars go, not quite as banged up as us, but they have their phenomenal running back James Robinson is having some issues with his knee. Their safety Josh Jones having a shoulder issue, and then Sidney Jones, who had an Achilles issue previous, is also, having reoccurring Achilles issues. And then Greg Mabin is dealing with some hamstring issues. So they seem to be pretty healthy, at least a little more healthy than us at this point. But I hope that we get to see Jimmy back but John said he's got a practice patience. So to me, that was his way of saying, like, probably not this week, right?
Yeah, it looks like it, but and that's it's one thing when injuries are spread throughout the team, but when they hit one position group in particular, that's when it gets concerning. And when you look at all those guys missing practice at corner, man, Marlon's gonna be busy this weekend. It looks like. So hopefully at least one or some of those guys can come back, but it doesn't sound like Jimmy's going to be playing this week. At least I wouldn't expect him to. But let's get more into the Jags. Let's get to know our opponent. I'm going to break down some of the numbers, some of the stats that they've put up this season. And I'm going to start with the offense. This season, they are 20th in the league in passing yards with 3,061, 21st in passing touchdowns with 19. On the ground, they're 23rd in the league in rushing yards with 1,328, and 26th in the league with rushing touchdowns with just 9. On the defensive side of the ball, let's see. They are 28th against the pass as far as yardage, giving up 3,554 yards thus far, and 29th in the league against passing touchdowns, giving up 28 passing touchdowns so far this season. And it doesn't get any better against the run. They are 30th against the run as far as yards, giving up 1,892, and 23rd in touchdowns, giving up 16 rushing touchdowns so far this season. So, man, they're really struggling no matter where you look, Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, they're a team that you wonder. I was watching the center Kelsey. What's his first name? Not obviously not
Jason for the
Jason
Eagles.
Kelsey.
Yeah.
There you go. He went on a little bit of a rant today, and people called it like a pro Wentz rant. I don't think it was necessarily that, but he just talked about the importance of having a winning organization and how winning trumps everything. And that should be the precedence. You should every Sunday, every time you take on, you go out on the field, while it's exciting for a player to be starting and you can have curiosity and things like that, as soon as a franchise says, hey, we're worried about the future and not you anymore, that's when you start turning into a losing franchise. Essentially what he said. It should be all about winning. And so I thought that was interesting because, of course, we have the Jags coming up who are in this predicament, right, where it looks like they're trying to lose.
From a front office standpoint, certainly.
Right. And then, of course, you've got these players that aren't trying to lose. So, yeah, their stats aren't too great. Obviously, the front office hasn't put them in a great situation, a situation for success. Obviously, we have two of their former players in Ngakoue and Calais Campbell. And just to mention, Ngakoue, or I wanted to say Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew said that Ngakoue is going to be out for blood this weekend. So
is this the
I'm
first
excited
time
to see that one.
he's playing his former team? I take it he didn't get a chance with the Vikings.
Right.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, every player gets up to play their former team when they feel slighted, and especially like Ngakoue feels pretty slighted from a contract standpoint. Thought he deserved to get that second contract, and they did not agree with him. So, but let's get into some of our. Let's actually start off this week with our challenge of the week. The last couple of weeks we've been doing a challenge each week, and I think we want to try and get more people involved. So we're going to push it up to the front. And this week's challenge. It's going to be an interesting one with all the receivers missing practice due to the COVID-19 situation. Boykin, Hollywood, and Prochet I'm talking about. I think it's going to be interesting to decide who from the receiving core, not including tight ends, running backs, anything like that, just out of the receivers, who will be the Ravens' leading receiver. Now, are we doing this based on receptions or based on yardage, Jimbo?
Receptions, I think, is fair.
Okay,
so like who will get the highest distribution of receptions? Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, because I think that if you're not practicing all week, it's hard for a coach to draw up a game plan for you. So I think it could be someone outside, outside the norm that we're used to. We're used to Hollywood getting the vast majority of the receiving targets, but that might not be the case this week. So that's what we're challenging you with. Guess who will be the leading receiver just out of the receiving core this week coming up. So we'll be interested to see your comments.
Yeah, and let me give you mine. If I may here, I was really tempted. I was really tempted to go with Dez Bryant. I was this close to go with Dez Bryant, but I'm going with the guy that I have affectionately named Old Faithful and Willie Snead. I think he's going to have 6 receptions in this game.
Wow.
I think Willie's going to have season high 6 receptions.
Wow. Well, you know what? While I tend to agree with you, I'm going to maybe lean with my heart more so than my brain here, and I'm hoping it's Dez, just because I want to see him throw up the X. I want to see a touchdown where he high points the ball and goes up and takes it away from a defender. So I'm going to go with Dez, but honestly, I tend to agree more with you. I'm just hoping more than predicting, I guess. But let's get into some more offensive questions and concerns, and I'm going to pitch the first one to you, Jimbo. It looks like Fluker right now is he was in a little bit of a battle with Phillips for that right tackle position, but it looks like Fluker is the starter for right now. And the O-line looks like they're gaining some momentum, some continuity up front. What do you see from them this week? I mean, is it more than just stay healthy? Like what do you need? What do you want to see from this week?
Yeah, this week for me, I want to see some physical dominance, right? I think that there's an opportunity for them to feast on an inferior opponent, and I don't want to see them play to the level of their opponent, especially up front from a physical standpoint. At this point, psychologically, it's got to be really hard for the Jags defensive, the trenchmen, if you will, the defensive front to keep wanting to bang heads with these big old slobber knockers up front 100 times a game when they know that their chances of winning are very slim and they don't have too much to play for except their paycheck, their pride, which I get that can go a long way. But there's a certain urgency that the Ravens have right now. And so I want to see physical dominance. That's one. The other thing I really want to see is I want them to keep Lamar a little cleaner. I think in the first half, well, I know people blamed a lot on the shoes. Lamar got sacked 4 times against the
Yeah.
Browns in the first half. So I want to see a little bit cleaner of a pocket back there as well. So those are the two things I'm looking for.
Yeah, I mean that sounds about right, Jimbo. It's hard to add much to that. I mean, I think my whole thing was just health. I mean, I think the more they get
Yeah.
to work together, the better. So as long as they can stay healthy, I'm pretty
Now,
happy.
Now, what about this, Glenn?
Mhm.
One of the things that our James Johnson talked about, and guys, go check out our previous show from yesterday evening with James Johnson from the Jags Wire. Really awesome, getting to peel back the onion a little bit and talk about the Jags from their perspective. But one of the things he said is that if the Ravens or if any team gets up early against the Jags in the first quarter, it seems to be pretty much over
Mhm.
this year. So, what do the Ravens need to do offensively to get out in front early?
Well, I mean, Greg Roman's going to have to script up some nice plays early on because I think you're right. There's two teams coming into this game. One team has all the pressure in the world and all the expectations, and the other's playing completely loose. And while they're less talented, I think that playing loose, playing with a reckless abandon can work in your favor especially if you can get an early lead or at least stick around. I mean, I think if the Ravens are able to go out and put up points in the first drive and first two drives, then I think James' prediction comes true that we're out of this game. I mean, we don't have a lot of faith in our offense to bring us back once we have a deficit. But on the other hand, if they're able to come out, score on their first drive, put some pressure, and then force a 3-and-out or a short drive from the Ravens, and they get the ball back, then we got a ball game on our hands because that was always one of my questions is if you always want to put good tape together because you want another contract, but I think you're right. When you have a 1-win team this late in the season, you're playing for the guy next to you. There's no doubt about that. You're playing for your future. You're playing for your pride. But I wonder also how much players relish in being the spoiler, how much they enjoy playing these teams that are pushing for a playoff berth, and how much pleasure they get out of maybe keeping a team like the Ravens out of the playoffs. I think there's a good portion of the players that would enjoy that. So I think that is big, getting up early and making sure they know that they're the Jags and this is how this game's going to go.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I kind of want to parlay that into another question I have for you. And this is, I know, a concern of some fans. I think particularly this might be a concern of yours. So two-part question here. Any concern coming off a short week that it could, an emotional win against the Browns, that this could be a letdown, trap type game. So that's part of it. And then on top of that, one of the things I want to know is there any concern that this is the type of game where Greg Roman will go out there, outsmart himself, go chucking the ball all over the field to open up the game and open up the opportunity for some mistakes, maybe for us to have to dig us out of a hole in the second half or the second quarter, down 7-0 or 14-0. Any concern around those two things?
Yeah, absolutely. This seems like the perfect game for Greg Roman to come out empty and start slinging the rock around when everyone in the room thinks that they're going to lean on their running back and lean on their run game. I'm a little worried about that. I'm concerned that Roman will, he just likes to. It seems like go against the grain sometimes, but when it works, that's great. But when it doesn't, I mean, there's no doubt that you're opening up more opportunity for mistakes to happen, for turnovers to happen, and look, when there's a team that's less talented, the biggest way to close that gap is turnovers and playing a clean game as far as penalties and stuff goes. So I am a little worried. I hope Greg Roman just look, lean on those running backs. We didn't even use Mark Ingram last week. Relatively, he was pretty much a healthy scratch, and so we got plenty of backs. Lean on them. I want to see a running back lead our team in carries, Jimbo, not our
Seriously,
quarterback who's
not a
dealing with
quarterback.
cramp issues, allegedly. So yeah, I mean, I'm a little concerned. What's your level of concern when it comes to that?
Yeah, that is my only concern about this game is that emotionally we could still be one of two things. We could be emotionally like gassed or emotionally still high. Like after that Browns game, like how do you turn the leaf from that? I couldn't go to bed.
No.
You know what I mean? Like I was so amped and I'm not even I'm just sitting on my couch watching the game.
Right.
So I can only imagine as a player, it's got to be difficult to turn the leaf from that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is a cause for concern for me. And then, like you said, it only takes just like in the Steelers game that first matchup where coming out chucked it, it was a pick six,
Yeah.
and that put us in a hole immediately. We don't want anything like that. We don't need anything like that. We need to, shut the door early. One of my one of my favorite sayings, original from yours truly, is that good teams can get up on you, but great teams will absolutely shut the door on you.
Hmm.
Right? Like that's what we need to do. Anybody can get up 14 nothing, but we need to shut the door. So Greg
Yep.
Roman needs to keep things simple, and give the ball to old 35, old 27. And like you said, I don't want to see Lamar leading our team in rushing yards or attempts. I get it
No.
every once in a while, the yards, because he'll break a big one.
Yeah.
But the attempts, it's like we don't need the volume with it.
Especially when he's, he was obviously cramped, showing effects from running as much as he did with the cramping. And let's not, I read off a bunch of stats and they weren't pretty for the Jags, but let's not act like they're completely devoid of talent on the defensive side. Miles Jack is a fantastic athletic linebacker. He played a little running back in his day.
Right.
But he is absolutely fantastic. Schobert in the middle is he's a tackling machine, leads their team in
Mm-hmm.
interceptions as well. So I think if you try that spread them out quick pass offense, you do lead yourself into not just a pick, but those quick passes tend to go the other way for 6. So that is a concern there. But Jimmy, any chance that this game is hammer time in the fourth quarter, and we see the first sighting of Tyler Huntley after the other 2 backups, McSorley and RG3 went down from injury?
That's all right, ladies and gentlemen. You all will see Tyler Huntley in the fourth quarter. I'm telling you now. I don't know how much we'll get to see how good he is. I mean, I had the opportunity to see him at college, and the kid is an absolute gamer. I thought coming out of the season, if it weren't for the COVID year, he would have won the number 2 job.
Wow.
As the initial backup, because I think he's a better player than Trace, and RG is physically depleted at this point. So look, get it ready. We'll be throwing up the U in the fourth quarter. Absolutely, we will see Tyler Huntley when we have a significant lead.
Okay. Well, I hope you're right, because that's right. If I see him, well, yeah, I don't want to see him because of any cramping. I want to see him only if we're up
Right.
comfortably in the fourth quarter.
Lamar will have the shades on and sitting on the, he'll be sitting on the bench. Now, I want to switch over to the defensive side of the ball, Glenn, because like you said, I mean, overall, still an NFL team. While they are a 1-win team, they've had some shining moments this year and been competitive in a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't make me think of like, this isn't reminiscent to me of like the Bengals last year, who I felt like were just getting blown out all the time.
Yeah.
Where I feel like the Jags are fighting. And like you said, there are a lot of guys that are fighting for their jobs. So a beacon of light for them, of course, has been James Robinson, the running back. Any level of concern that we'll be able to contain him?
Absolutely. I mean, look, the guy has 224 carries for 1,035 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. But then to add to that, he has 57 targets that he's turned into 46 catches for 326 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. The guy's phenomenal.
Yeah.
The guy's really good. And when you see what Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt were able to do to the Ravens, this guy can do it through the air. He can do kind of, both. He can do both jobs. We saw that Hunt and Chubb kind of split the duties up. Well, James Robinson's going to be on the field an awful lot, and if they can get him going, that's a good that's what the Jaguars need to do to win this game. They need to have a decent running game. That way Gardner Minshew can limit his mistakes. But yeah, I'm concerned, especially if Calais isn't able to go. That's a big blow. And even when he was able to go last week, clearly limited, clearly hampered by the injury and not playing to the level we're used to. So this is my one and really main concern is James Robinson. What about you?
Yeah, but it's interesting you said that's your only concern, only because I want to also bring up their underrated wide receiver group. When we have so many questions as far as health in the secondary, while our 1 and 2 corner and our 1 and 2 safety are good. After Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey,
Peters is out of practice, remember?
Yeah, right. He's not even practicing right now. So there's a chance he might not even play. I'm a little concerned that, Gardner, if he only needs to make a couple, 2-3 nice throws, get put up 7-14 in a best case scenario, 21 points, but it only takes a couple big plays. And even look, Marlon is an all pro, but even Marlon has been susceptible to the big play. Right. So, that is definitely a concern of mine. Any concern of yours, facing what I consider to be this underrated wide receiver core?
Yeah, the receiving core is really good. Now, the reason my concern isn't off the charts for that is because of the quarterback. Gardner Minshew while he kind of burst on the scene last year,
Mhm.
he hasn't been the same as he was last season. On the season, let me just give you some of his numbers. He's got 2,033 yards passing, 65% completion percentage with 14 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Yeah, I mean, there is a level of concern. They're really good players. Chenault has 42 catches for 440 yards. Cole has 47 catches for 571 yards and 5 touchdowns. And DJ Chark, 45 catches, 591 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, they're a good group. And then Conley, you throw Chris Conley in. I'm not sure of his health right now, but if he's got 29 catches for 344 yards, he can play. So yeah, that is, as a group goes, that's probably their best group. But I guess Gardner knocks them down in my book a little bit.
That's interesting. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid point. But I do think that they're a group that, Ravens fans, all of you at home, shouldn't write off, right? I think
Oh
that
yeah,
they're definitely formidable.
yeah.
So, I mean, that I don't really have any other defensive concerns. I know that sounds kind of arrogant, but this is, the only other thing that concerns me is defensively is, I mean, we already kind of talked about it, it's just the health. Who knows? Maybe we end up sitting the wrong guys. We sit a Calais, sit a Jimmy, and then that exposes us to a couple big plays, and then we get in. So I can see a scenario where this game is more competitive than not. But I'm gonna give you a little bit of a preview here, Glenn. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what I think is gonna happen in this game defensively.
Okay.
I'm calling it right now. They get one offensive touchdown. Our defense, hobbled or not, I know I just went on this rant talking about how there's a potential for them to, come out and be competitive in this, that, and the other. It's not happening. It's not happening. One offensive touchdown. I'm calling it right now. Mark my words. One offensive touchdown this entire game. Defense goes out there, makes a serious statement. But that I just wanted to get that out there because I'm feeling good. The defense pride was hurt in the last game, and they're going to come out there and put work on the Jags.
Yeah, their offensive line is not the Cleveland Browns offensive line. I mean, there are some they can move some heavy weight over in Cleveland. So I agree with you. I think but I want to get into our keys to the game, Jimmy, because we've been on a little bit of a heater lately. We've been hitting some good keys to the game, so I want to see if we can keep this going.
All right.
So I'm going to lead us off on offense
because we've been getting all of our other stuff wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, our predictions have been horrible. All right, so keys to the game offensively to me is ride the running backs. Please, I don't want to see a game where we go into halftime and our running backs have a total of 5 carries between them. We have 2 from Gus, 2 from Dobbins, 1 from No, I want to see a heavy reliance on the running backs. You sprinkle in some Lamar to keep the defense honest and make sure that they have to pause for that split second to see where the ball's going. But for the most part, I want to see us lean on the running game, Jimmy. Lean on it. And if you're not running it, have the illusion of the run and let's have some play action passing. That's how I would run this offense. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And just to add on to that, my key to the game is get up on them early. And I'm going to be more specific, though, is sustained drives. I want to see an 8-minute drive out the gate, wear out that defense, right? Just methodically down the field, take their soul, let them know that they cannot stop us from running the ball, and wear them out. I think we can do that in the first half. The second half, you bring in a guy like Gus Edwards, who's the ultimate closer, and you just pound the rock. So get up on them early and sustain drives is my key to the game offensively. What about defensively? I like this one.
Yeah, to me, it's be opportunistic. I don't know how many. I believe it was like 7 forced fumbles or 6 forced fumbles in that last
7
game.
and they recovered 6. You're right.
Yeah, and the other one went out of bounds, right? So we didn't get any of the 7. I mean that is insane. I don't know if I can. If there's ever, that's got to be some sort of record. I mean, 7 fumbles and none of them get recovered.
At least in the modern era, right? Like,
I mean, it was insane.
A ton of fumbles back in the 20s and stuff like that, but
I'm
not.
sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not today.
No, not today. So my thing is, when the ball touches your hands, scoop it or catch it, whatever it is. But not just the fumbles, Jimmy. How many times did we say Ngakoue was this close to getting to the quarterback, to swiping the ball out of his hand? I mean, I just feel like we're this close. So I just want to say, be opportunistic. When you get there, make the play. And this game should be over easily. How about you?
Yeah, and really quickly before I get to my key to the game, I'm thinking about an invention here. I want to, the cat toy with the feather at the end. I want to have that with a football, just a huge one for Ngakoue when he comes around the corner in practice, just to like move it around so he can swipe at it.
You like the guy with the fishing rod. Oh, you got to be quicker than that.
That's right. Every time it's going up and down and left and right. It's like, come on, man. Because like you're right, he gets to the spot and he's whiffing. Yeah. And it's like, gosh, dang it. Lay some lumber on him if you're going to whiff. But mine is, you talked about this earlier, is just stop James Robinson. Make him depend on I keep wanting to say Baker. Make him depend on Gardner's arm. The same goes for Baker. No, I'm kidding. Baker's playing really well.
Both their names are occupations.
Yeah, seriously. One's a Gardner, one's a Baker. Oh, geez. That's like Michael when he's like, Holly, I'm pretty sure she was a professional baker at some point in her life. She's got this warmth about her.
That's right.
Anyway, yeah, I say stop James Robinson. If we can do that, and they have to depend on the arm of Minshew, then I'm pretty sure we got this game won. So that's my defensive key to the game. Now I'm excited to get into our big game predictions here, because I
think one of us is going to be right offensively. There's no way one of us isn't right offensively, but I'm going to start on defense.
Okay.
Just to tease the offense there. I think Humphrey does not only force a fumble this week again, but I think this time he recovers his own force. And I don't know if he picks it up and scores, but I think he not only punches it out, but I think he jumps on it and he recovers his own forced fumble. How about you?
Wow. So mine, I'm sticking with him, okay? This is his former team. Their offensive line is terrible. Their quarterback is not great. Yannick Ngakoue is going to go off. Yeah. He's going to have 2 sacks, a strip sack.
Yeah, if they don't have stunts written up for him and all kinds of stuff, come on.
And look, you know what? I'm going to add to it, okay?
Oh, here we go. Don't get greedy now.
No, he's stripping it, and he's taking it to the house.
I knew you were going to say
taking it to the house.
Just can't resist. Telling you. Okay. All right. Well, I hope you're right.
He's got the speed. If he picks it up, we know he's got the speed.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Well, offensively, we got to nail this one, Jimmy. I got to think Andrews is going to be a heavy focus in this game. And I hope it's not too much from the defensive side that they allow him to get a couple. I think he gets 8 catches, and I think he gets a touchdown in this one. He had 5 in the last one. Almost had that long one for his 6th one, which I think would have been a touchdown as well.
Right.
But for me, 8 catches and a touchdown, because I think Greg Roman does air it out a little bit more than we're hoping.
Yeah. So my offensive big game player of the game is going to be Willie Snead. I mentioned earlier he's going to lead the team in receptions. I think he's going to have 6 catches, 85 plus yards, and a touchdown, which is a lot of yards for Willie because usually there's short yardage type stuff. But I think he breaks a tackle or 2 and heads down the field to make it 85 plus yard day for him. I think that Willie Snead is going to eat. He's going to eat on Sunday. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, he's getting all the practice reps. He's going to be definitely in sync, what you'd hope, with Lamar going into this one. Well, let's get into our score prediction. I have a feeling I know which way you're leaning, but I'm going to start us off. I think that this is really hammer time. I think it could be worse than my prediction actually is, but really they show mercy and just get the clock down and get out of there. 27-13 Ravens win. And like I said, could be worse, but I think they're kneeling on the ball in Jaguars territory and letting that clock run out with 27 points on the board.
Wow. Like you said, showing some serious mercy there. So mine is very similar in the Jaguars score, but I'm going to give us a little bit more points. I say 34-13 Ravens. I think the only reason that it's going to be more than 27, as you mentioned, is I think there could be a defensive touchdown in there or a few turnovers that could lead to easy 3 or 6 points in the shape of a couple field goals. So I'm going to 34-13. Like I said, the Ravens defense only gives up 13 points, 2 field goals, and a touchdown, and locks them up for the most part. I cannot wait for this game just to relax. Look, I'm jinxing it.
It's not a night game again, right? We're not playing another 8:00-er.
Right. You know what's crazy? It's been a month since the Ravens have played on a Sunday at 1 p.m. And actually, everyone thinks because of COVID, that was actually scheduled in. Different days, but that was actually the original schedule as far as not playing on Sunday. So it's nice to get back to routine, nice to be at home, and this is a perfect game to do it, to build on that momentum from the Browns game.
Yeah, no trap games. Let's not have any of that craziness
Yeah,
happen. And no last second COVID stuff, please. My goodness, nobody
seriously.
getting pulled out of warm-ups. We don't need to see
That's
that. But
right.
let us know
Stay home. Wear
yeah,
your mask. Come on, guys.
yeah, exactly. And let us know what you guys think. Who's your big time offensive and defensive player? What's your score and prediction for the game? And we'll talk soon.
See ya.